The left continually says there is a constitutional right to abortion. There isn't. That makes no sense. I'm sorry. I can understand a bit of what Alito is saying. I don't know if this argument makes sense. The point is, guns in the Constitution, equal rights under the law in the Constitution. So let me break it down for you, my friends, if you want to get hip with it. There are people of different races. They must be treated equally under the law. An individual must receive equal protection under the law, as per the 14th Amendment. If you are white, if you are black. If two white people can get married, equal protection then applies to people of different races to get married. Boom. Supreme Court precedent, constitutional law makes sense. That's what the Constitution has to offer. If you want to amend the Constitution, go for it. But you want to bring up the 14th Amendment. There's a reason why the left won't tell you that life begins at conception. Because if that was the case, the 14th Amendment would apply to the baby and the mother, in which case you cannot kill the baby. There's no logical argument, none presented, as to why life begins at any other point other than conception. We had, just the other day, our guest on Timcast IRL was saying maybe at some, I think it was Alan Bakari might have said, at some point after conception, but, or sometime after the first trimester, but, like something like that. I can't remember. Forgive me, Alan. I forgot exactly how you phrased it. The general idea was that life doesn't begin at conception. It begins like a few weeks in maybe, or a month or two. And I said, that makes no sense. There's no distinction. What's your distinction? How is it that you can say at 4 weeks it's alive? The heartbeat bill? Heartbeat? Okay, well, the heartbeat bills are being challenged as well. You can see the heartbeat. It's an independent life form. No. Some people don't have heartbeats. They have machines that deal with this for them. Okay, well, it needs to be incubated. Look. The problem is science has continually pushed the boundary of how young or how early stage a fetus can be to survive. I think 21 weeks now, 21. And the baby can survive and grow and become a full-fledged adult human being with little repercussions to their long-term health. There still are repercussions. What if we get to the point where at any stage in conception, the life can be put in an artificial womb and preserved? The left still has no argument for this to say up to the mother. No, it is not up to a mother to kill her child. You need a sound, logical argument for which we base whether life has begun and someone earns rights. It seems to me that the argument from the left is consistently that rights are bestowed upon you when we as a society deem you have personhood. No way. That is an insane, reductive, it's an insane, archaic way of looking at things. Back in the day, Democrats did not grant personhood to slaves, so they didn't have rights. The Constitution did not apply to them. Yeah, that's BS. Humans have rights. The same group is now arguing that babies don't. If you can come to me and present a solid legal argument, scientific argument as to why life does not begin until a certain point, I'm down to hear it. They say, it's just a clump of cells. And I'm like, that's not an argument. A clump of cells in many other circumstances is considered an independent life form. They say, well, there's no brain function. There are human beings with no brain function on life support. They still have rights. Well, no heartbeat. I mentioned the heartbeat thing. No kidneys, no stomach, whatever. No legs, no arms, no brain activity. Doesn't matter. These people all still have constitutional rights. This is part of the big legal debate. Now, if your brain function has ceased, a guardian will take responsibility, but there's still a legal battle over what they can do. Why would it be any different for a baby? And if that's true, the Constitution applies to the fetus. Therein lies the big challenge. If that were true, you can't have abortions. So it is difficult. And I still lean, despite all of these things, from a libertarian perspective towards pro-choice. But it's like right in the middle, slightly on the other side. I don't like it. I don't like abortion. I think it's abused. I think that's wrong. I think abortion as contraception is wrong. But anyway, here's the point. The argument being made right now, because I'm going to go off on the abortion thing again, is that there's an opportunity to overturn Obergefell v. Hodges. The court ruled it was unconstitutional for states to ban or refuse to recognize same-sex marriage. My point here? No, because human beings are protected under the 14th Amendment. And so if two people have a right to marry, then two men have a right to marry. Now, some may say, well, that opens the door to polygamy. It doesn't, because the law has only ever enshrined that one person can marry one other person. I mean, I suppose polygamy has existed at some point. But if the law says person can marry person, then person can marry person regardless of certain characteristics. If the law says person is granted protections for their life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, then that means the baby and the mother. You can't use the 14th Amendment to argue both simultaneously that one does not deserve rights and one does. But where are we headed with this? Civil war, violence, that's the only way I can see it. These people have no logic behind what they're saying.